Hello everyone, welcome to our first video interview, and we're here with Jayne, who is owner and head coach of Liverpool SUP Co. So back when I was living in Manchester, I spent a year working with RSPB, and you chose someone else over me.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Katie chose you, didn't she?
Yeah.
Well,
It was the start of a friendship, and I blame you for me now owning two paddle boards.
love
So
it. You can never just have one.
no,
So,
no, quite. So how has your love of the water developed? Like, have you always had it, and what is your earliest memory of enjoying water?
yeah, I've always loved it. So I can't remember a time when I didn't. So because we're from such a maritime city with that history that we've got, we used to always go to the beach with my parents, which was really cool. And one of the stories that I always told people when someone said, "What's your earliest memory or a reason why you loved the ocean and wanted to explore it more?" was when I was younger, we were on Southport Beach and we had a flyway, me and my brother. We were kicking a flyway and it went into the sea, but it was an offshore wind, the tide was going out, so I never saw that ball again. But I remember asking my dad, and he was like, "We just don't know." So I thought, "Oh, I want to find out." Never did find out. So obviously, it's probably in that the Pacific
Oh yeah,
garbage patch now, probably. But yeah, that's where my love for the ocean came from.
that's cool. And I've always said that my spirit, everyone's like, what's your spirit animal? But I seem to go for spirit fish. So I'm either um a shark because I'm always wanting to be doing something, or I'm a salmon because I always feel like I'm swimming upstream, but it's only recently that I found out that salmon swim upstream to procreate and then die. So I'm only a little bit of a salmon swimming
Yeah,
against the current. So what would be your spirit fish?
I think I'd be a shark because they're my favorite. But yeah, they kind of just I just potter about all day, and then I only really wake up when I'm hungry. So I only really attack when I'm hungry, and then I just go back to pottering about doing me thing. So yeah,
Like
shark.
so what is water has a bit like me, water has developed from a hobby into a business. What main things have you noticed in the water industry since starting up Liverpool SUP Co?
There is that opportunity for more people to branch out into their own revenue and avenue of how they resonate with the water, from turning it into a hobby and into a business. So, well, mine's paddleboarding, and then you get people doing cold water dipping, and then warming yourself up when you come out of these activities. So I think that's a really positive thing, is that people are becoming more aware that there's opportunities there and going for it. And there's a big support as well. So people are quite really supportive when you, especially if you're a small business, we all like stick together.
Yeah. Um, the open water swimming, the cocktail of hormones that it creates is getting a bit more of a scientific backing for combating depression and an overall improvement of mood. Do you see a difference? Because you obviously do cold water dipping as well, but do you have have you noticed a difference being on the water than in the water?
Yeah, for me personally, I know some people they're the same. But yeah, being on the water, it's kind of the best way I can describe it is that I'm free on the water. So when I'm paddling, and literally floating on the water. But when people joke with me when I'm teaching, and they go, "What a job! This is an amazing job that you've got." And I always have to remind them that I'm having a different type of paddle than they are, because I'm looking at ways they can die. And they're like, "Oh yeah." So I'm literally doing a dynamic risk assessment constantly. And I do enjoy it, but I'm like, that boat's coming, that tide's there, blah, 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 blah. So, well, they're just enjoying it. My head's like on a swivel. But when I'm personally just paddling, it's so freeing. And because I'm going fast, I'm going against the wind and pushing myself. And there's that aspect of being on it. But when I'm in it, when I dunk my head under the water, everything just stops and it's just calm. And especially cold water, this primal fight or flight thing comes through, and you forget about what you need to do later or what you've done before. And it's just you very much in that moment. And that's what I love about being in the water. That's different.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I've been on Derwent Water a couple of times and it's been so still. And it's almost like an optical illusion, like you feel like you could step out and walk on it.
Yeah.
It's it's otherworldly, but yeah, you're right. The cold water just forces you into the present, and I like it when it's even colder because I enjoyed the waking up process of your peripheries and your
Yeah.
skin, just like all the little hair standing on edge, attention, and just that reawakening. It's mint. I love it.
Do you find as well when you come out, you're like, oh, I didn't realize I had a bruise there. Like, what's happening? I'm black and blue.
Definitely. Oh, I didn't realize I could go that color.
Do you
Um,
remember as well when we were on Windermere and the plane went above us?
oh, that was cool. Um, I was still in that process of don't move your head too much,
Mhm. Yeah,
or you'll fall in. But yeah, that was cool. I don't know what that was. I think it was like a Hercules or something flying past.
not got a clue.
That's one of the things I love about the lakes. You see all of the planes, different sorts doing their maneuvers, and it's it just elevates the experience a bit more.
Yeah, because we were on the water, it was like, whoa, this is just another perspective of seeing this amazing thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to fish out that footage. Um, so when did you set up Liverpool SUP Co? And has there been any change? I personally feel as though there's been a slow awakening
Mm.
to safety. Like I feel as though I'm there with my handbag on the shoreline going, he hasn't got a life
Yeah.
jacket on and that sort of thing. Has it got regulated yet, or is it still in the process of getting to that point?
Yeah, so I started in 2018 officially, and because I was like doing it before, but Subco started in 2018, and there was not really many people actually doing the qualifications for it. So there was BSUPA, so BSUPA, and then there was ASI, who I've got mine with. I can't remember and I think ISA, the Surfing Academy. So there was only maybe two or three people where you could get your qualification. So I done mine with ASI. And then slowly more people are like, yeah, this needs to be regulated because at the time you didn't need a qualification to teach it, but you couldn't get insurance without it. So people were just taking people. And the problem I always find as well, just being a coach in general for not just paddleboarding, but strength training as well, is that when people do something for so long, they think they can coach it. So just
Mm,
go in the gym squatting, for example. But if you've continually done something wrong with bad habits, then you're just passing them on.
mm,
And I think it's even if it's just for your own development without wanting to teach it, just going and getting a qualification so you can just cue yourself and find the coaching cues and how you can upgrade and develop as a paddler, but or get a lesson and get a professional coach to do that. But more and more people now, and there's a British Canoeing now called Paddle UK, or the official governing body in the UK for stand-up paddling. But when I first started, they done paddle sports, and I think they still do, where that was a bit of a mix of everything. So you could do kayaking, canoeing, and paddling all in one. But my discipline and something that I really wanted to focus on was SUP. So I wanted to just hone in on SUP. And that's why I went to ASI. Well, yeah, because there was only two other people to do it with. But yeah, Paddle UK are the official governing body, and they're still, because the sport's so new in itself compared to other water sports. There's still teething problems, but it's just about learning and getting feedback from those who have been doing it a while, and yeah, just being open to coaching, really.
Yeah, I certainly feel as though I benefited and got with open water swimming and stand-up paddleboarding, I felt more confident within my own skills and ability because I had the lessons, I had the guided swims, so I learned through, or is it osmosis,
Yeah,
through watching you. I did open water swimming guided sessions with a lass called Susanna, and it was just, I felt confident when I went to the more casual situations that I knew the signs of, right, well, I don't want to go over there because the wind's coming that way, or
yeah,
just a general awareness of the environment and giving it its due respect.
yeah. And self-awareness as well, so knowing your own capabilities and your own fitness levels and abilities as well. And a lot of people, I feel, because they're so accessible, what we both do. So open water swimming and dipping and paddleboarding is so accessible that most people can do it. If you're injured or anything like that. But with that comes the fact that people just jump themselves into cold water and go, oh, well, I've seen people do it, or they'll just buy themselves a rubbish board,
Mm. And
not
then they
read.
can't self-rescue. I um I was on a SUP social and we saw this guy falling off his paddleboard, and he actually started to try and swim to shore with the paddleboard dragging behind him. And so three of us went off, and this guy didn't have a life jacket on. It was a very cold spring, but he looked like he was dressed for the height of summer in Spain. And when
Okay.
we were asking him to kneel on the middle of the board, he said, "Oh, I can't. Why? I've just had a knee operation."
Jesus.
So like we got him back to shore, but like we all like kind of stepped back and went, he definitely needed rescuing. Because
Mm,
when we got to him, he was like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was going to be that cold." And it just boggles the mind, really, that some people don't have that self-awareness and the
mm,
respect for the environment that they're going into, because he
it's
he
just
he could
shocking.
have been a goner, really, if we hadn't been there.
Well, it's happened, hasn't it, in the lakes, and it's happened in Wales. It's even happened here in Merseyside. So I think
Not to
it's on.
scaremonger people, but like
No,
just have
no.
it.
But I think there's a responsibility to those who post on Instagram, including myself, to promote that rescue side of it and say, look, it's not just all bikinis and shorts. Like,
Mm,
I go out and people look at me and go, "Can't you swim? Like, why have you got all that on?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I can swim, but you don't know the minute. So you could have a heart attack on the board, or I could need to save someone, and if I'm not equipped to do it, then how am I supposed to save someone else?" It's
yeah.
just so yeah, we've got a responsibility as advocates of the sport, but also we've got even if you've got 5 people following you on Instagram, if you can reach, it's like imagine standing up and speaking to 5 people in a room about it. It's still important,
Hmm.
and it's just
And then
how we
there's that
promote it.
knock-on effect of doing um positive positive messaging.
It's like that Wayne's World, and they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends. Do you ever
Mm.
see Wayne's World? I show my age.
Yeah, it's class. It's a
Yeah,
class thing.
David.
Um, so what are your top safety tips for supping?
Number one, get a lesson. I think, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a coach. So anyone reading this could be in the middle of Timbuktu, for all we know. So they can't get a lesson with me. But go to your nearest coach and get a lesson, because you can ask them questions and they'll be able to tell you things that you just can't learn on YouTube.
Is there anything that people should be like look out for legit? Because they might just be going off experience. So what sort of things should they look for?
So you've got to be, like we were saying before, know your fitness levels and know your self-awareness and be equipped. So wear a leash, wear a buoyancy aid, make sure that your paddle and your board are in good nick, because I've seen many deflated boards on the river because they've got punctures and people just pump them up, or they pump them up wrong. Yeah, so definitely wear a leash and a paddle, and look out for wind. I would always recommend not going out over 12 knots.
Mm.
That's the recommendation across the board. Some people can go out over it, depending on who you're taking out and your skill level. But as a generalization, 12 knots, and try and go against the wind initially, because what I've found is when I've had to rescue people, or when I've seen people get stuck, they've turned around and gone, oh, it's easier this way. So paddled an hour and a half, and then they've had to turn around and need to paddle 3 hours against the wind. So go against the wind initially, because if you get tired or fatigued, the wind will bring you back to your launch spot. And if you
Yeah.
take a cup of tea and a sandwich, it's great, because it's like a lazy river.
And also, there was a occasion quite recently in Cumbria where it's a similar sort of thing to a tow float, writing your emergency contact details on there, because a chap fell off, his leash snapped. He got back to shore, but there was a whole rescue
Oh,
launched,
yeah.
um, because they didn't know whose it was. So they were advising writing on the board or attaching something to the board to let them know who the owner is and how to contact them. So that's a good point. It's funny how there's so many similarities between the two sports.
Yeah.
And it's definitely.
With if you go onto the Coast Guard's website, you can order the free as well stickers for your boards. So I
All
put
right.
my contact details, and yeah, I think you'd be able to put them on a tow float, but they're made for boards really.
All right, I'll have a look at that definitely. And when I find it, I'll whack it on to this blog post.
I'll see if I can find and send it to you, because I'm always ordering them, because I always get new boards.
So we've talked about safety and the respect for the environment, but we also need to protect it. So you've got quite good links with Surfers Against Sewage. Um, how is the lay of the land at the moment, or rather the lay of the water at the moment?
It's just full of shit, isn't it? It's
Quite
shit,
literally.
quite literally. So yeah, I'm the regional rep here in Merseyside for Liverpool for Surfers Against Sewage. And at the moment, we're coming together on the 18th of May. So I don't know if this will go out before or after. And it's the paddle out protests. So there's quite a few going on across the country. And it's basically a protest against that. We're just sick of swimming in shit. So we just want the water companies to take a little bit more responsibility and be a bit more aware of how it's affecting water users. And it's looking like we're going to get another general election as well. So now more than ever, we need our voices to be heard. So yeah, let's
Now,
get out there.
not to angle on any one party, but is there anything that because it's dear to quite a lot of people's hearts,
Mm.
what sort of things should a politician be saying, or in the literature to actually go, oh, they're worth a punt for my vote.
Just giving a shit about the environment, just caring about it, and not worrying about lining someone's pockets or lining your own. And I just think if you read the manifestos and if something resonates with you, go with that party rather than anything specific to look out for. Just read the manifestos, because I think
Mm.
that's really important.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Right, so if someone's watching this or reading this in Liverpool and they think I want to have a go on a SUP board, how does one get a session with you?
You can go to my website. It's www.liverpoolsupco.co.uk, or if you follow me on social medias at Liverpool SUP Co, and I will be happy to help. We do socials as well, so we come to the lakes quite often, and we'll go to Wales. We're going to explore a little bit more this year, in the Dales and Scotland and stuff. So jump on if you feel like it, because you don't have to be local. You can always. The good thing about Liverpool is that there's motorways to it, so you can come and see me, and I can come see you.
Bob. Well, thank you very much, Jayne, for being my first interview on Warm Court. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.